Good day and welcome to this webinar on preparing for the forthcoming Horizon 2020 Green Deal calls. The event is hosted by the EU network Horizon Sustainable Oslo region. My name is Barbro Renland Nordby and I am the coordinator of the network. So let's start with a couple of practical information. The webinar will be recorded and these recordings will be made available for you after the webinar. And also, as Eric said, please mute your microphones if you are not muted. So the agenda for today, after my welcome, we will head over to Tor Ivar Eikås, head of the Brussels office of the Norwegian Research Council. He will give an introduction to the Green Deal as the European roadmap for making EU's economy sustainable and the extraordinary Green Deal Horizon 2020 call. After that, we will head over to parallel sessions on the different areas and topics, and these are headed by the national contact points from the Norwegian Research Council. So what is the EU network Horizon Sustainable Oslo region? We are a regional network for the Oslo region. We promote participation in Horizon 2020, the forthcoming Horizon 2020 Green Deal, and also preparations for Horizon Europe. It is a network for actors with international ambitions for sustainable solutions, and we have chosen to focus on energy, environment, and transport. Within these fields, we help bring actors together across sectors. We do this by linking R&D actors, public sector, and companies. And we can help with a search for partners and also discuss project ideas. In addition, we can connect you to other resources such as the NCPs from the Norwegian Research Council or competence brokers. So who are behind this network? The founding partners behind are SIENS, which is a strategic collaboration on climate and environment among some of Norway's leading knowledge producers such as CICERO, Meteorological Institute, NICU, NILU, NINA, NIVA, TØI, and also parts of the University of Oslo and Oslo Met University. Another partner is the City of Oslo, which has an ambitious goal to become the world's first carbon neutral city by 2030. Oslo's ambitious climate strategy for 2030, which was adopted this year, aligns its strategy to those of the European Green Deal. The EU framework programs and Horizon 2020 in particular are important policy tools for the City of Oslo when it sets about achieving its climate goals. The Oslo region are also one of the founding partners. They consist of 67 local authorities. The Alliance is a collaborative political membership organization, and the overall goal is to strengthen the Oslo region as a competitive and sustainable region in Europe. The Oslo Region European Office is a Brussels-based member organization for counties, municipalities, and universities in our region. Our mission is to assist members in achieving their policy goals by making good use of EU policy, European networks, and financial instruments. And last, the Lillestrøm Center of Expertise is a member-based organization working to bridge and develop networks to create innovations in the region that will ensure an attractive and sustainable business sector. It is a strong focus on circularity, green transport, hydrogen, and solar energy. There is a sense of urgency now, where there is both a climate and a nature crisis. There is a need to create a shift for a more sustainable future. The European Green Deal is one part of the solution here. It is EU's roadmap for making the economy sustainable and becoming a climate neutral continent. It is transforming both the EU budgets and the project calls. Solutions developed will solve challenges for the public sector and create large and long-term business opportunities. They will make Europe a living laboratory for testing solutions that the world can use in the long run. For creating this shift and making these solutions, it demands the work of all of us. We are uniquely positioned in the Oslo region with companies with key competence within clean transport, energy, and environment, public actors eager to create a sustainable society, and leading knowledge producers in the research environments. Together, they can solve the challenges and create solutions. The EU network and the Research Council are here to support you on your journey. So let's start. To give us an introduction to the Green Deal as the European roadmap for making the EU's economy sustainable and the extraordinary Green Deal Horizon 2020 calls, we have with us Tor Ivar Eikås, which heads the Brussels office of Norwegian Research Council. So over to you, Tor Ivar.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. I'm Tor Ivar Eikås, currently heading the Brussels office of the Research Council of Norway. We are part of the NORCO office, Norwegian Contact Office for Research, Innovation and Education in Brussels, which is a joint office between Innovation Norway, DQ, and the Research Council of Norway. So today I will give an introduction to the European Green Deal and the Green Deal call, a little bit on the status on this journey towards the call and the timeline ahead of us. The details of the call you will hear later on in the breakout session. So the key documents that are interesting in the context of the Green Deal, you find on these two websites. In general, for the European Green Deal, you find the key documents on the first link, and for the specific documents related to the European Green Deal call, you will find all the call draft documents on the second link. In contrast to the normal sort of procedure when developing work programs and calling Horizon 2020, the Commission has been very open in the process of designing the European Green Deal call. And you will find more or less exactly the same information on the website as the member states, associated countries have received via the program committees of Horizon 2020. So I encourage you to take a look at these two websites and look into the details. So the European Green Deal, we had really a shift with the new president of the Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, when she was elected in July last year, and she was very fast in promoting this European Green Deal. And as was mentioned before, this ambition of making Europe the first climate neutral continent is really ambitious, but it also gives a very strong steer on a lot of the activities that will now take place from the EU side. And together with the first Vice President Timmermans, there is a really strong steer on all types of activities from the EU side towards the European Green Deal. And the Green Deal is one of the 6 main priorities of the new Commission. The others are an economy that works for the people, Europe fit for the digital age, promoting our European way of life, a stronger Europe in the world, and for European democracy. We will not, of course, go into details on these, but focus on the European Green Deal. And the European Green Deal is really the new growth strategy for EU. And the ambition of becoming climate neutral by 2050, is a key guiding principle. But also having the principle that no one should be left behind is guiding the activities. And also promoting human life, animals and plants by cutting pollution, and helping companies become world leaders. And this has become even more important now after the COVID situation. And as said, also helps ensure just and inclusive transition.
Tor Ivar,
yes.
Kan du prøve å få mikrofonen litt nærmere deg? Det er litt dårlig lyd.
Okay, trying this one. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. And in order to achieve this, they will set and have set specific targets on key areas that need being addressed in order to meet these challenges. For example, related to greenhouse gas emissions, energy consumption in buildings, recycling of materials from the European industry, emission from mobility and transport sector, etc. And what they have done now is that they sort of align a lot of the activities and most of the activities towards the same objectives and goals. That means that we will see that the policy development, different type of funds, the Horizon Europe, and also other EU programs, they are all aligned towards making this ambition become true. And as a guiding principle for all the activities, we have the UN Sustainable Development Goals that we can, of course, sign up to also from our side. And what is important is that, and what we see even more clear now with the Green Deal and also the run-up for Horizon Europe is that there is a very clear link between the policy and the activities. A link from policy to impact. So what that means is that you need to have a very good understanding of the policy documents that is behind the activities that is proposed in order to make the best possible proposal. And that is very important for you to understand and know and look into when you are developing your proposal for the European Green Deal call. And if you look at some of the new policy initiatives after the European Green Deal was presented in December last year, already in January, we had the European Green Deal Investment Plan and the Just Transition Mechanism, where the Commission aligned resources equal to 1 trillion euros towards the same objectives. Not new money, but aligning existing resources towards the same objectives. In March, we have the European Climate Law, where there is a public consultation still open till June. We have the European Climate Pact, and in March, the European Industrial Strategy. Also in March, the Circular Economy Action Plan. In May, we had the Farm to Fork Strategy and also the EU Biodiversity Strategy for 2030. These documents are very important for you to read and understand in order to make a successful proposal and understand how you should frame and position your proposal and activities. And also, you should look at the Green Deal call as a stepping stone towards Horizon Europe. As we have also very often said at the Research Council, is that the best way to prepare for the next program is to be active in the last period of an existing one, because the Commission is always trying to bridge the activities from one program period to the next. And as was said in an introduction, the European Green Deal is part of Horizon 2020 and also will follow the rules of Horizon 2020. So it's not part of Horizon Europe, which some seems to believe. And the stepping stone is also important when you look at other union programs that will come in the next period. The Norwegian government has still not decided which programs we should associate with and which not to. But there is one program in this list of new programs that we can participate in, independent on which program we associate with or not. And that is the Innovation Fund. The Norwegian partners will be eligible for the Innovation Fund activities independent of whether we associate with Horizon Europe or on other programs or not. And the reason for mentioning that specific program is that there are a lot of activities that could fit both in the European Green Deal call and in the Innovation Fund activities. It's important for you to also look at that part. So the European Green Deal call, a short overview. It will reflect the 8 key work streams of the Green Deal communication, and also have 3 horizontal areas where there are cross-cutting areas of a longer-term perspective in support of the transformation needed for the European Green Deal. And what is important to notice about the Green Deal call, that it's a bit different to the calls we are normally being used to in Horizon 2020. It's more focused on producing tangible results. visible to the citizens in a relatively short time frame. And the number of projects we expect to see is expected to be limited. Exactly the number of projects is not, or we will have, is not clear, but that it is a more limited number than in normal regular Horizon 2020 call is expected. And a very strong focus on impact. And most of the activities will have a very strong innovation and demonstration focus, although there are some activities that will focus on research actions and coordination and support actions. And here are the 11 thematic areas of the European Green Call. And we will address most of them in the breakout session later today, except from the area 6, farm to 4, and 9 and 11. The rest of them will be addressed later on today. We will not go into details in this presentation on the individual areas, but we have the area 1, increasing climate adoption, cross-sectoral challenges. Area 2, clean, affordable and secure energy. 3, industry for a clean and circular economy. 4, energy and resource efficient buildings. 5, sustainable and smart mobility. 6, farm to fork. 7, ecosystems and biodiversity. And 8, zero pollution, toxic free environment. And then the 3 horizontal activities, cross-cutting all the thematic areas. Number 9, strengthening our knowledge in support of the European Green Deal. And 10, empowering citizens for transition towards climate neutral and sustainable Europe. And 11, on international cooperation with specific focus on Africa and Mediterranean. A brief note on the type of projects the Commission are looking at, because they have different type of projects. There are research and innovation actions called RIA. We will hear more about that later today. You have innovation actions that are closer to the market, more demonstration, called IA, and coordination support actions. That could be everything from policy development support, mobilizing actors, etc., etc. It's kind of a type of project that is used for many purposes. And you can see the different funding rates that are offered from the Commission, depending on the type of projects. The research and innovation actions are funded 100%, innovation actions 70% for industrial companies, and 100% for non-profit legal entities. And in total, there are 8 IA proposed topics, 8 RIA, and 4 that is a combination of these. And then you will see that there is a quite limited number of topics that within each of these 11 areas, 2 to 3 or even only 1 topic in some areas. And they are quite focused. Just an example on area 2, clean, affordable and secure energy. There is one topic focusing on the offshore renewable energy technologies. But it should be noted that there is a kind of a discussion between member states and the Commission whether some of these topics are too focused or not. It's not unlikely that some of the topics could be broadened a little bit, but this remains to be seen. And I will come back to that a little bit later, but probably later in June, we will see some indication if this will happen or not. So it's not 100% sure that some of these topics will be open, but it's not unlikely. I will not go into the details of these. These will be addressed in the breakout session, but for your reference, you have an overview of these topics in all the areas, as you can see here. The indicative timeline for the process. The 3rd of June, it was the closing date for the stakeholder consultation. That was open to everyone. I hope some of you gave some feedback to the Commission on the drafts that were available on the web. The Commission received almost 6,000 responses More than 540 documents were uploaded with suggestions on how to improve the topics. So quite a lot of information that the Commission now will process. And there is a meeting in the Strategic Program Committee on the 19th of June, where hopefully we will see a revised version of the draft text. In July, there will be an inter-service consultation within the Commission in order to check the draft text among all the services in the Commission. And it will be sent to the Strategic Program Committee in August for their opinion. It should be noted, Norway is also part of this Strategic Program Committee because we have the EEA agreement and we are part of this shadow committee already now as associated member. In mid-September, it's expected to have the formal adoption of the work program, where this Green Deal call will be an amendment to the Horizon 2020 work program. Mid-September, it is expected that the call will be published and the call will open. I also like to draw your attention to the EU Research and Innovation Days, RNI Days as it is called, the second in a row that will take place the 22nd and to 24th September. This time it will be a virtual event. There will be several sessions at that event that will address the Green Deal, and there is probably also to be a brokerage event for proposals during that period. End of January is the expected call deadline. That's when all the proposals must have been submitted, and the contracts must be signed before the end of the year, because in order to be according to the Horizon 2020 regulation. And I also like to draw your attention to a policy conference that takes place during the Sustainable Energy Week. Although it says Sustainable Energy Week, it's not only related to energy. There are several sessions that will be of interest for many of you related to Green Deal call. Among others, energy transition towards climate neutrality, EU Green Deal and the ways out of the COVID-19 crisis, the greening of EU recovery, and national energy and climate plans. So, and a number of other topics as well. So take a look at that. The registration is now open. Budget. As the budget estimate was indicated before as approximately 1 billion euros. Now, because of the COVID-19 and the focus on that, there is the best estimates is between 950 million and 1 billion. It remains to be seen what the final figure will be, but that's the best estimate as being rumored now. The budget allocation per area and per topic is not clear. The budget, the size of the project is also not clear. There is a difference of opinion between some member states and the Commission whether there should be very few and very big projects or more a portfolio of smaller projects. It remains to be seen, but that we will see large projects, quite large projects, is very, very likely. And also related to this is the EU long-term budget and the negotiation, the so-called MFF, multi-annual financial framework negotiations, and the EU recovery plan. There is, I will not go into detail on that, but I know that it is of interest for many of you that the Commission proposed a new budget last week, where they also include a EU recovery plan. And the total figures for Horizon Europe seems to have increased from 94 billion in the initial Commission proposal from 2018 to now 105 billion euros in current prices. But it has to be noted that approximately 14 billion of that is within the Next Gen EU pot. And it's not clear how and if Norway can take part in that part of the budget. this is still something that is open. So how to make this possible? Well, it's important that you use the support that you can have from the national contact points. In Norway, we have a very strong focus on providing support to stakeholders that are active on the EU arena towards Horizon 2020 and later on for Horizon Europe. So there are a number of national contact points, both within the Research Council of Norway and at Innovation Norway, and also for space at the Norwegian Space Centers. We have a number of EU networks and projects like the network that is now organizing this event. We have regional responsibles, EU advisors across the country. We have regional offices in Brussels. We provide economic support, consultancy help, and we have a number of training courses available for you. And I would strongly recommend you to seek support from the national contact points before you start looking into the different topics. You will meet some of my colleagues later on today in the breakout sessions, but there are many more. And also we have this office in Brussels, the Norcor office, where we provide you with support. So take a look at our website and look at the details and how we can support you. And we provide support from the very first sort of potential, is Horizon Europe, is Green Deal something for me and for us, towards the end of a project where if you should have any challenges during running a project. All the process steps, we can give you some kind of support or guidance. So thank you. I think that was all from my side. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Tor Ivar. We have gotten a couple of questions in the chat. Sigrid Langås, he has asked, is in a relatively short time frame, does that mean that the project implementation periods will be shorter than usual 3 or 4 years?
I think 3 to 4, or maybe even a little bit longer, I think it could be possible. I think this will depend a little bit on the different topics. So this is something that you should look into the individual topics and provide proper guidance and dialogue with the NCPs, because this is not very clearly decided as far as I know. But I know that there are some indications that 3 to 4 years is typically okay, but there are maybe exemptions to this. Okay.
And also Guri Bugge has asked, is it correct that there will be no CSA actions?
No. As briefly, when some of the slides I went very fast through, there are some activities where there are foresee some CSA activities.
Great. And Ursula Smits, will it be a 1-stage or 2-stage application procedure or a mix of both for the different topics?
I know that for some topics, it has already been indicated from the Commission that there will be a 1-stage process, that is a full proposal. Others, in other areas, it has not been indicated, but in order to meet the deadline of having all the contracts signed by end of 21 with deadline in January, I would expect that a 2-stage process will be difficult. So my gut feeling is that they will all be 1 stage, but that I don't know for sure.
Sure. And then just one last question before we head on further from Peter Austin. The Commission's new MFF recovery plan and Next Generation EU is enormously significant also for Norway. Will the Norwegian Research or NRF and other Norwegian stakeholders work to enable best possible participation in research and other programs in relation to this?
Well, first of all, I have to say that it's up to the government to decide which program to associate with and not. So this is the government to decide. But for those where we do participate, I can assure you that all the support services that we have at the Research Council, Innovation Norway, Home Center will do everything we can in order to make sure that our participation is as good as possible. And also I have to mention that this is of really importance also for the Norwegian mission to the EU in Brussels with the ambassador, etc. They are looking carefully into that the EAA agreement and the way we should have access to the programs are followed as according to the EAA agreement. So this is really taken well care of, I would say.
Good, good. We would have to take further questions in the parallel sessions. So just to give a little information on that. What is next up? We will make matchmaking events with invitations will be sent, and the parallel sessions will have more detailed information. We are here to help you with either discussing the project ID or connecting you to other resources or partners. So prepare your IDs, and as Toriva mentioned, get in contact with the NCPs. They are really great. I can't emphasize that enough. Or get in contact with the EU network. So Toriva gave us a really insightful presentation. Thank you so much for that. Next up is the parallel sessions. And we have bundled some of them up. So Area 1 and Area 10 are together. Area 2 and Area 4 are together. And the rest of them are in individual sessions. So just a short notice before we take a break. Area 1 and Area 10, you have gotten a mail and you have to head over to Teams for the parallel session. For all the rest, you stay in Zoom and you will be divided into the rooms. Oops. So for the parallel sessions, they start at 12:15 and have the duration until 1 o'clock. One of them will last a bit longer. So thank you so much for now, and I'll see you again at 12:15, so a 10-minute break now.
Just a little more information. It's I'm going to send you now off to your breakout rooms, and for some of you late that register very late will not be automatically transferred to the breakout rooms, and I have to do that manually. So I'm going to open all the rooms now. So thank you now.
Erik?
Ja.
Erik?
Ja. Unnskyld. Ja, hører du meg?
Erik, hører du meg?
Ja, jeg hører deg.
Nei.
Jo, jeg hører deg.
Jeg har problemer med bildet mitt ble borte. Da vet jeg ikke om de klarer heller å se presentasjonen når jeg skal ha den opp.
Et lite øyeblikk, så skal jeg gjøre deg som co-host. Sånn, nå skal du være i orden.
Da skal vi se. Fordi nå har vi 2 laptoper her.
Det er alle sammen.
Hvis vi skrur av den, for vi har 2 laptops, og den ene laptopen, vi kobler det inn på Berits bruker på begge 2, og den ene laptopen ble vi invitert til breakout room, men ikke den andre, og det er den andre som virker.
Den andre virker med bildet, men vi brukte samme lenke.